Good morning, everyone. We're continuing in the words over here of the Meishiv Nefesh, and he brings down a wondrous Maisa story today from the Vilna Gaon. The Vilna Gaon once was giving over on Shabbos a Musar Drasha, which means a inspiring talk to his Talmidim, to his students, to try to elevate them in their awareness of Hashem, in the world of Yirah Shamayim, the fear, the reverence, the awe that they have of Hashem, the understanding of how Torah and mitzvahs and avodas Hashem works. And while he was giving over that shir, he began to describe that there's a sefer called Reishis Chachma, and in the sefer Reishis Chachma, it explains and describes at great length what the world of Gehenna is going to look like. Gehenna is that place downstairs that a person will go to after 120 years. There will be suffering, there will be difficulties, there will be pain that a person goes through before they are cleansed to come back to the upper worlds of Kedusha and holiness. And the Reishis Chachma over there is very strong in the language that it uses to describe the miserable suffering that a person is going to endure when they go down to Gehenna. And the Vilna Gaon said that the words of the Reishis Chachma are not an exaggeration at all. Rather, they're Dvarim Kavyasam, they're exactly as he says. One of the students who was there listening to his Rabbi, the Vilna Gaon, say over this speech, this drasha, started shaking and trembling when he heard that that is what it's going to be like in Gehenna. And he got so frightened and fearful of the place that was waiting and that is waiting for everybody that he began to get sick. He went home. He was so weak that he lay down in his bed. And from laying down in his bed, his body was trembling and shaking in the fear of what's going to be in the next world. How's he going to endure such suffering and pain as the Vilna Gaon has described? He got so ill that he was in his bed for weeks until it was Sakonis Maves. People thought he was going to die. That's how frightened and that's how sick his body got over this entire ordeal. Finally, B'chazdei Hashem, with Hashem's help, he ended up having a refuah shlema. He got completely better, back on his feet, and he went to see the Vilna Gaon. That was one of the first people that he wanted to see after his miraculous recovery. And he saw the Vilna Gaon, and he said the following. And he said, Ki ilo hayameis, if I would have died, hayahu Rabbi Ashem b'maisa, then he said, you should know, Vilna Gaon, you would be responsible for my death. The Vilna Gaon looked at him perplexed, and he said, really, what would I have done? What did I do that would have caused your death? And he said, because when you explain the words of the Reishis Chachma, how he describes the suffering that will take place for a person in Gehenna, and you said the statement that not one of his words is an exaggeration, it's all 100% true, what we call emes la'amitai, the truth of the truth. I was so frightened and became so fearful and so anxious, it threw me into a sickness where I couldn't get out of my bed. And therefore, Vilna Gaon, had I not gotten better and I would have died, it would have been your fault. At this time, the Vilna Gaon got up at his full height, and he told to this student of his, Ani oimer oid pa'am, I'll say it again, ki mashe kosav sham, whatever is written in the words of the Reishis Chachma, hu b'diyuk, it's exactly the way that he says it's going to be. But then the Vilna Gaon added the following words, but I regret that I forgot to add one last important point. If I would have done this, you would not have fallen into your deathbed, you would not have gotten so frightened, you wouldn't have gotten so sick, and you wouldn't have thought that you're going to die. If I would have just told you, if a person would recognize that with all of the yisurim, all of the suffering, all of the difficulties, all the challenges they have here in this world, It decreases and wipes away the suffering that a person would experience normally in Gehenna in the world to come. Because the Yisurim that a person has in this world are cleansing. That suffering that a person goes through in this world, it removes any pain that he needs in the world to come. Iyov, who was one of the most prolific sufferers of all of history of Tanakh that we find in our holy texts, he suffered beyond anyone's comprehension. Said the Vilna Gaon, if you would know how good suffering is for you in this world, you would gladly accept upon yourself all the suffering that Iyov himself went through. If I would have told you this, says the Vilna Gaon, you wouldn't have trembled, you wouldn't have gotten anxious, you wouldn't have felt so sad and depressed over the fact of the Gehenna that a person will receive. Why? Because you would realize everybody suffers. Everybody has challenges. Everybody has difficulties that they go through. And instead of looking at those things as bad and getting frustrated by them, you should recognize that's your Gehenna in this world, and that will save you from the suffering and the punishments of the Gehenna that is waiting for a person down there. Now this, as we go into a beautiful, beautiful Shabbos waiting upon us, when the month of Adar over here, it's the month of Marbim B'Simcha, to increase our joy. How is talking about Gehenna increasing our joy? The answer is like the Vilna Gaon is saying. Look at the story of the Megillah. Look at all of the challenges and the suffering the Jewish people went through. Esther and Mordechai and all of Klal Yisrael, they thought they're going to be destroyed. Look at everything they went through. And yet at the end of the day, they never lost their faith. They continued firm in their dedication and their commitment to Hashem and His mitzvahs, and their tefillah, their prayers from the bottoms of their hearts. And as a result, they were victorious over the enemies. And this is our simcha as well. That when a person recognizes that whatever looks wrong and bad in their life is just the siba, just the cause to bring us closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and that suffering and that difficulty that we have to go to is cleansing nature of who we are, then a person walks around marbim b'simcha. They are increasing their joy and their happiness all of the time. May we be zeicha to see in our lifetimes good and the chesed and the rachamim of Hashem. And if in fact there is any yisurim, there is any suffering or challenges or heartache or pain that a person goes through, recognize it's all from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's all for the good, and it's all cleansing us in this world so that in the world to come we'll have the greatest reward and portion waiting for us with true dveikis, true closeness to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Have a wonderful day, have a wonderful Shabbos, and a good Chodesh to all.